Hello, and welcome to House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dena and Chris. I'm Chris Breitenbach.
And I'm Dena Mathis. Welcome to our program, everybody. We're excited to be talking with Kathy Lamb today, a loan officer with Thrive Mortgage, about what's happening in the lending world. And everybody's asking that question about, Kathy, what's going on in with the rates. So we'll be talking all about the interest rates, and we'll also take a deeper dive focus into investment properties.
Later in the Real Talk section of our program, Dena and I are going to talk a little bit about considerations you might have on the real estate end for purchasing an investment property and how it might be different than purchasing your personal residence.
But for now, we welcome Kathy to our program. So Kathy, welcome.
You.
Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Why don't you just start by telling us a little bit
Sure.
about yourself
Sure.
and your background in
Okay,
lending?
sure. I'm Kathy Lamb. I have been in the lending world for going on 18 years.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations.
A lot of good experience
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Definitely seen a lot. I have served buyers, home buyers, homeowners in the Ohio, Kentucky area. So since 2004.
Okay.
Really, I help take the confusion out of mortgages so people can just feel good, feel confident about, there's a mystery behind sometimes mortgages. So I kind of, help that process be as smooth and stress-free as possible, whether you're purchasing or refinancing a home. So.
And we like that.
Yeah. And I do think mortgages, that mystery, right?
Yes.
There's so much that happens behind the scenes, and so to find somebody who you trust and can work with makes such a difference.
Thank you. Thank you.
Exactly. So
What I love to do.
Why don't we just dive right in?
Sure.
Tell us what's going on with the interest rates.
Well,
The number one question that we
Wow.
get from the whole world is, right?
Tell us.
Yeah. Where's your crystal ball? Where are we going? Where are we at today?
Okay, so where do we start? So interest rates are not where we were in December.
No, they're not.
And if I had to give a range, it would honestly be like 3.5 to 4.5.
Okay.
Generally, we're seeing 30-year fixed rates, give or take 4%.
Which is still not
Which
bad,
is-
right.
You're right. We're
Crazy
thinking they're
low.
high, and they're 3.5 to 4.5%.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Anything under 5, and even 5 would still be considered historically low by
Right.
most of us.
Yes.
But honestly, if I had a crystal ball and knew where they were going, I'd be on a beach.
In the Caribbean,
Not
not looking back.
Not looking back. So, but honestly, in all seriousness, with rates having shot up dramatically and quickly in January and early February, experts don't really see that continuing to be the trend.
Okay.
To be going up as quickly. Now, I feel that over the next year or two, we will see an increase in rates.
Okay.
But so much depends on the economy, inflation, labor markets, what's going on right now in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's still this thing called the coronavirus.
Yes. We're
So
still
that's
living it, aren't we?
unpredictable. And a coronavirus bomb could throw rates one way or another.
And what's interesting is, right, it could, who knows which direction it would go, depending on, some of those
Yes.
will indicate what direction, but otherwise you just don't know.
You don't know. There has been some historical proof that when there's war and skirmishes and that kind of thing, that stock investors will take money out of the stock market, invest it in bonds, increasing bond prices, and then rates fall.
Okay.
So
that's something to watch.
that's something to watch because we are in that time right now.
Right.
Volatility.
Right.
Volatility absolutely is what's going on. So.
Definitely interesting, and you're right. Nobody has that crystal ball, and everything's relative, right? When we talk about real estate, oftentimes the rates and the prices kind of go hand in hand.
Right.
Yes.
So you may have a better rate, but it's a higher
price point.
Prices
It's
might level
it's a
out.
market we have not seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
people have been in it way longer than me, but my understanding is we've never seen anything like this.
And to be honest, right, we haven't seen rates as low as they've been since our adult life. I don't know when they would have been this low.
I don't know that they have.
Yeah.
So it's
a good time to buy.
It is a good time to buy. And, you know, with the unpredictability of the market, my suggestion to homeowners, home buyers, would be to not make a home purchase decision based on rates only. You know, what is best for your family? What is best for your situation? You can't look back. And I saw a meme yesterday that said, the best interest rates, something about the best interest rates were 5 years ago. Well, how about this thought? Maybe today, this spring, could be the best time to buy over the next 5 years. And you could look back in 5 years.
That's exactly right. And the same looking at people who are looking to invest. They're like, oh, the home prices are at their highest. Well, maybe, but maybe not.
Exactly.
A year from now, what are we going to say? A year ago, what would we have said? So you're right. Like the best time is now if those are the right circumstances for each person.
It's a challenging market, but it's not. In a challenging market does not mean to not put yourself in the housing market.
It's good point.
Especially when you've got great realtors.
Right here.
An experienced, reliable, and local mortgage professional.
And it does make me nervous when I have a client who says, I can buy this is what I want. But if rates tick up to 4.2, I'm not going to qualify. And I always then have the talk with them about, are you going to be eating hot dogs for the rest of your life? Are you, let's talk about your strategy and have you make a good decision. And it may still be that decision. But if we have to watch the rates for them to tick up like 0.2 for them to not qualify anymore, I'm going to question our strategy.
Anyone who was looking in 21 should be in touch with their mortgage professional. Because I have seen rates for individuals go anywhere from 0.5% to 0.75%.
And that does affect your payment. And it may be that you don't want to make that higher. Maybe you qualify, but you don't want to go with that.
Exactly.
So good to always have that relationship, just like we love the relationship. Have that relationship with your mortgage person to be watching exactly where you're at.
The partnership is huge. The team.
The team to have those conversations is vital. So, Chris and I have been talking podcast after podcast here about the buying process and how it's very challenging in this market to sell your home and buy simultaneously without that contingency of the sale of your home. And I understand that you've got a program called Home to Home.
We do.
Can you tell us a little bit about how that works and how that might benefit our clients?
So Home to Home is a proprietary product of Thrive Mortgage. It's very different from a bridge or a blanket loan. But it does help qualified buyers make non-contingent offers. A couple key points of Home to Home is it is a two-step process. So there's a short-term 6 month where they have 6 months to sell their home. So we'll do a short-term financing on the purchase. We will do 100% financing on that purchase.
Oh, wow.
Okay. For interest only. Because, again, it solves the issue of having a contingent.
So they can go ahead and they can buy. Their house is on the market. They haven't sold. They can go ahead and buy.
They can buy
their home.
And we are not counting the payment of their departing home.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
That is the huge thing. Because a lot of people, and you don't have to have necessarily
thinking about that qualifying.
Correct.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to have that 20% equity, 20% combined equity. As long as we can determine and source at the beginning estimated proceeds from the sale and or assets over and above that again, this is the second part of the two-step process, is that once the departing house sells, the proceeds and or other assets will go towards to pay this down.
So you're assuming the sale, but you're not taking that whole thing. You're taking it into consideration, but not making it a must in order to.
That's great.
So it's huge, and a lot of people don't know about it. So there's a place for all kinds of loans, but this is definitely one that has been a tool to help the the issues of the buying market right now, you know, that challenging market that.
Well, we're sitting down with all these clients right now, and that's the first thing that we're discussing is how do we make this move work for your family? And if somebody doesn't have that buying power to be able to buy without selling, it puts them in such a precarious situation with temporary housing and double moves and things like that.
That's not good for anybody.
No, it's not.
Well,
so this is a great
and you think it's
alternative.
readily available, but it's not. You know, temporary housing isn't as available as people think. They're all just like, oh, I'll just go. You know what? A lot of places will only do leases for 6 months or a year or whatever.
Right.
And so it's not as available, and therefore, if you can find a different strategy, that just takes that, it just gives a sense of relief.
It's definitely worth the conversation.
You know,
so is that pretty much the high level how the program works?
That is the high level how the program works. You know, there are credit score minimums.
We'd assume.
All you know,
you have to qualify.
Debt ratios to certain things, but again, we're not counting that. That's huge. Not counting this departing house, the mortgage in qualifying. So, I've done quite a few. And honestly, just to finish off this, you know, talking about home to home, is somebody can go under contract use in home to home. I'll write the pre-approval letter, not contingent on the sale of their home. They go under contract within, let's say, 24 hours. They have their house on the market. The moon and the stars align. You get it sold. You get through inspections and that kind of thing. We've removed the home to home and just run with the 30-year fix. You know, but at least it has helped them get that house.
It's
so
a net.
And then we can
pivot and do the loan. So
I love that.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
Really
I do too.
Yeah, for our clients.
I do too. And you know, my head's now I'm thinking. Y'all know what that means.
Yes.
How can I help you?
It's another tool, and it's another conversation, you know, to sit down at our buyer consults, our seller consults, to be able to offer a product like that is really big.
And, you know, because from our perspective, right, we're still seeing a lot of multiple offer situations, and how do you get your client to stand out when they have to mortgage, when they're not cash? How do you get them to stand out? And that helps tremendously.
And I do have a conversation with the listing agent because the pre-approval does come over showing 100% financing. I mean, we are financing 100%, and somebody's going to look at that, but it just takes a call to the listing agent, introducing myself, explaining the product and the program.
Most definitely.
Love that. Love that.
So switching gears just a little bit into like the investment property thing, from a lending perspective, tell us how an investment property is different than your primary home.
So in our conversation and what we're looking at here, investment properties would still be 1 to 4 family.
Well, and that's most of what
you would probably do.
Dena and I are going to be handling an investment, probably it's going to be, not that we wouldn't handle something different, but you know,
for the purposes of our conversation.
For the purpose of our conversation, it's a lot of times it's a past client who says, look, I want to invest in real estate. Where do I start? How do I begin? And you know, then I go.
That's a good clarification.
So you know, residential lending, whether primary investment, second home, is always going to be 1 to 4 family units. So a single family, a duplex, you know, 3 or 4 family unit. But where investment properties are concerned, there's definitely more stringent qualifying guidelines. Anything that is non-owner occupied, you know, is a higher risk to a lender. So that is going to mean higher down payment requirements. You can't just put 5% down on an investment property.
What is the down payment requirement then?
So you can put as little as 15% down. Your best pricing with rates is going to be 25% down.
25. So I was thinking 20, but 25 is
25. The amount of your down payment will affect your rate.
Absolutely. Just like any loan, there are a ton of factors that go into price, rates, and pricing. And in an investment case, it's as with any, but it's your credit score, property type. So on investment purchase on a single family, you might have slightly better pricing on a single family than you're going to have on a 3 to 4 unit. Or a duplex versus a single family. You know, the pricing is going to get better again, because as you get into the multifamilies, again, that just is another risk layer that impacts pricing.
And that's an interesting point, because oftentimes, or not oftentimes, but I've had conversations with my investors about wanting the duplex, or wanting actually four, because they calculate their everything on, if I have one empty and I've got a fourplex, then I'm still okay,
Yes.
financially everything's still working.
Rolling.
But if it's a single family and it's vacant, I have nothing.
And you can buy a duplex, a multifamily as a primary residence, but you have to be occupying. But
Right.
but
And I know
yeah.
people have done that
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
But there are still pricing hits, again, the higher number of units.
Got it.
Because you don't have the control,
Yeah.
you're not occupying all four of those units, so you don't have the.
Right. I guess I'm thinking, if you're not occupying anything,
then those are true investment.
Right.
And that's
True
investment. That's really what we're
I've had
talking about.
investors think, if there's 4 units, I can keep 3 occupied at least, and I'm still stay afloat.
Yes, yeah, that's a 75% rule.
Yeah.
That's kind of how. No, but
I guess I don't know what it is, but
they take when calculating, net rental income.
Mhm.
We'll use a vacancy, 25% vacancy.
Correct. That's
Well,
what we've been doing.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you guys know what you're doing.
But
But it's also a conventional loan, so
Okay.
you can't do a VA loan or a
Okay.
USDA loan.
Okay.
Or an FHA loan. You can buy a duplex on an FHA loan, but you have to live in it.
But you have to be half
So
owner
for
occupied.
true investment properties, then
It has to be conventional.
yeah.
Is there
So-
any kind of limitation to the number of investment properties?
Good question. For Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, your agency loans, conventional loans, it's 10.
Okay.
10 financed, including your primary residence.
Okay.
There are some what we call non-QM, qualified mortgage products that you can build your investment portfolio.
Okay.
Once you get above that 10.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
And I've heard that 10 is a magic number of investment properties to have, and that's probably one of the reasons why.
Yes, and that's finance properties, including your primary residence.
Interesting. Good to know. So
Yes.
Good to start. We start with 1. We build to 10. We'll address from there.
Well, that's probably another podcast.
Let's start with the first one, and then we'll.
That's another podcast. So
yeah, but either you don't finance them, right? Use the equity to pay something off in order to keep going.
Or it sounds like there are other mortgage types rather than your conventional.
There are definitely, and there's a loan called, and I never remember, here, where's it called? It's called a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio loan. Don't worry about the debt service coverage ratio part, DSCR loan. It's an investment property loan that we do a lot of. It is, falls under the non-QM, but basically there's no income, no employment. It is all on cash flow.
Okay.
So, as long as it's generating more income than the expenses and the mortgage.
And that could be with the first investment property too.
Yes.
That's just a different type
people
of
who
loan,
are self-employed,
avenue.
People who don't want to provide tax returns.
Yeah.
You're going to pay a higher rate, but you would expect it if you're not gonna, you're
right.
But it gets you in the game. It gets you in that investment property game. So
where's a good place to start? Is it just to sit down with you about that conversation and the options? What do you recommend?
It really is. I mean, it's making sure, meeting with a mortgage professional like myself. I ask lots of questions, because I ask lots of questions anyway to find out, what's motivating people to want to buy and what's their concerns and what is their, kind of your short and long-term goals.
Sure.
And what is your cash position, your equity position.
Right.
But also, doing a loan application. We make it very simple to do an online loan application. To do an initial review.
Simple is key.
Simple is key. Yeah, and there's ways in which people can get a down payment. There's you can use the equity from your house and that's my job, is to help determine what is the.
Which brings me to another tool that you have and use, and it's a tool that I've been set up on. Is it called HomeBot?
It's called HomeBot.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's called HomeBot. I'm set up on it,
Yes.
and I get
Spell it for our listeners.
HOMEBOT.
Exactly.
HomeBot.
A HomeBot.
Like a HomeBot.
Okay.
It's like, the bot is that little person down at the bottom
Yes.
of your screen.
Yes.
Got it.
It's your HomeBot, and it comes out and it shows, I get it monthly, and it shows me, okay, here's where you're at in your mortgage process. Here's what would happen if you refinanced at these rates. Here's what you can also do. And maybe it's, I can buy a new house, I can go on vacation, I can purchase an investment property, and it kind of gives me the amount of how I can leverage the equity I have in my home and my credit score to give me buying power to make that investment. So tell me a little, I like it. Obviously I like
that's okay.
I
Sounds
love
like it does all the thinking for you, all the calculating for you.
It does, to some extent, it really does.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about this product.
Okay.
HomeBot.
So HomeBot is a monthly digest that home buyers get. Home buyers can get it too, but homeowners receive a monthly HomeBot digest. And it really is designed to help you build wealth through real estate.
Okay.
Whether you're current primary residence, you can have, if you have investment properties, you can have those on it. But it helps you manage and monitor your mortgage, your equity, through current and historical values, suggestions on, and with the increase in values over the last year or two, people are seeing crazy high amounts of equity.
Right. That's
And
a great point.
that equity can
use it.
Can be used to help you build even more wealth.
Right.
And maybe it's pulling it out and investing it in the market somehow, because in the long run you'll probably earn more than 4 or 5% than just keeping it in your home.
Better use of money.
Right. So it gets your wheels spinning, like, oh, I have this much equity. Would you like to move up, take that equity and buy a bigger home? Would you like to invest it in another property, in an investment property? How about an Airbnb?
Right.
So it gives you all these
I saw that one.
options.
Yes.
Wow.
You can calculate what kind of income you could expect
off of that
of an Airbnb property. So
that's pretty fantastic.
it is something that I provide to homeowners, obviously my past clients, but happy to share with anyone that
So
would
it's not something that people just download themselves. This is something they would contact you for, and you set them up.
So there is a website that I have created to be able to sign up for their own HomeBot account.
Okay.
So I can provide that.
You want to tell everybody what that
it
website
is? I just created it this week.
Oh, that's okay.
What is
you don't have
it's basically what is my OHKY home worth.
Okay. And we'll make sure that we provide that at the end of our program so that our listeners and our viewers have that information.
Absolutely. It is really just a great tool to manage and monitor your.
It's very visual. So I like that it's just right there in front of you, and you don't have to click into something. You can, but it just gives you that visual. It's easy to follow.
It is, and it does all the thinking for you, and also, like you said, to the point of the Airbnb or whatever, it puts things in front of you that perhaps you hadn't thought about doing with that equity. Wow, look at all this money that I do have sitting here. How can you, like you said,
there's lots of home improvement. There's lots of houses that need home improvement. It's it's a cheap way to renovate.
Right.
You might consider going with a different term mortgage, going from a 30-year to a 15-year. That's going to help build wealth and decrease the term and save you thousands in interest over the life of the loan. So
that's a great tool.
Would love to share it.
Yeah. Right. And going back to our start of our conversation with rates, even though they've crept up, still being at historic lows, mortgage money is really cheap right now. And so, having a ton of equity in your home may not be the best use of your money. You could be not in a bank account because that gets nothing. Right. But there could be other avenues.
Right. And this is where
you can use.
It can help lay those avenues out.
Correct.
Exactly.
We can, and I'm not a financial planner, but you definitely want to have a financial planner as part of your team.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
To help you determine. So I've got some tools to help people kind of determine what would make most sense for them.
That's exciting. Both the home to home program. Did I say that right?
Yes, home to home
program and the HomeBot program. Just really exciting tools that you have to be able to help buyers and sellers, like you said, build wealth.
Yeah. I mean, it is my passion. It's what I love to do, working with homeowners. I love buyers. I mean, I've spent my whole career working with home buyers, but certainly past clients and doing refis and really just making sure people are in the right mortgage for their situation.
Good point. I like that too, right? Are you in the right mortgage for your situation?
It may be different. You might have bought a house last year, but you may have a situation right now you need to pull cash out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So situations change.
And we know the pricing has gone up. So like to your point, there's equity. There might be equity.
That's right.
Right.
That's
like
right.
I've had first time,
Right.
especially my first time home buyers I've had in the past 2 years, right? I've thrown out to them, consider refinancing because the value of their home may have gone up enough that they don't need PMI anymore.
Exactly.
Big point.
Yeah.
Big point. I've done a ton of that.
Yeah, that's a great.
And it's something they're not thinking about. And again, reaching out, and the HomeBot tool would help with that.
HomeBot tool would totally help. And I've got another tool that I can show them. I can plug in numbers for their current mortgage, how long they've had it, what the original loan amount was, right, blah, 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 and then plug in some scenarios. And it will show them
more
the short and long term. I know, I love my tools. Because you know what they say, numbers don't lie.
Right.
So let's.
And who wants to sit and calculate that stuff?
Right.
Let the app do it for you.
Let the app do it. Let me do it.
Let
So,
Kathy do it for you.
But instead of playing solitaire, I would be doing stuff like that if I had
right.
that toy.
I geek out on stuff like that.
That's all really exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't really touched on?
Goodness,
that
I
you
think
wanted
it's
to
been
share?
fun.
It's a lot of great information and a lot of valuable tools to dive into.
I hope so.
And
That was
it's very
goal.
personalized. So obviously we've just touched the surface. We just want to get people thinking of building that wealth. How can you use, especially if you have a home, your current properties to work for you. Kathy, again, not a financial analyst, but a good resource for what
I help
you
manage
could do.
debt.
Yeah, there you go.
If you think about it, that's what I help do, is help manage debt. And there is, again, with equity, and people have high credit cards and high. So there's so many situations that require really
consolidation and all sorts of things. So more than just your average get your loan kind of.
And I like to consider myself a mortgage advisor, not just a loan officer. Yeah, because you can find a loan officer anywhere.
Correct.
A mortgage advisor will deep dig.
We love that.
Deep.
So tell people what's the best way to reach you?
The best way to reach me is on my cell phone. That's one of the best ways. Call or text me at 513-310-3301. My website is just KathyLambHomeLoans.com.
And we love people that are accessible by phone these days, right?
Yes.
Because we don't get that so much.
And it sounds odd, but it's so important. You get so much more done via phone.
Yeah.
So, and as YouTube, I say this all the time, but for our YouTube viewers, know that Dena and I will have a screen at the end that shows Kathy's contact information and how you can reach her.
Yeah. So our small business shout out for this week is Kathy Lamb at Thrive Mortgage, and we want to thank you so much for joining us today.
This was so fun. I enjoyed this a lot and appreciate you both.
We learned a lot. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
So Kathy, again, thank you for joining us today and sharing. You are just a wealth of knowledge. We look forward to continuing to work with you both for our people looking for their personal residence and our investment clients.
And I love how every time I sit down with someone, I learn something new. So I learned a ton of new things from Kathy today.
And don't you, and so we're both sitting here saying, oh my gosh, we've got to sit down with Kathy and
discuss our own personal, right? and
we
for our
help
clients
you, we
as
help
well.
ourselves.
Exactly. So we're here to help you. Chris and I are here to help you sit down, determine your needs, and we are happy to put you in front of Kathy Lamb.
Yep. And just like the lending portion of buying an investment property can differ from buying your personal home, so is the actual, not the real estate process, but your real estate considerations and some other considerations. So Dena, what's a good starting point for somebody?
On the investment side,
yeah.
I really think to Kathy's point, and really to anybody who's looking, is just to figure out what your goals are. So you really have to figure out, sit down, strategize, think about what is your end goal. Is it to flip and buy, flip, sell? Is it to become a landlord and continue to build wealth through multiple investment properties? So really just sitting down and determining what your goal is, I think, is really important.
I agree. Everybody, I hear from a lot of people the buzz, not word, but the buzz phrase of passive income, and that lends itself more to, okay, am I building a rental portfolio?
Exactly.
So something to think about, and it's not easy, right? There's things. So when we sit down with you and we're talking about going into your first investment, we're going to give you some other resources you need to talk to, like who's your insurance person and how is your insurance going to be different?
We just had a program with a couple weeks ago with Senior Flaherty with Nick Bogan. So we talked about insurance. There are a lot of different considerations, lots of great resources that Chris and I can help you tap into.
Yeah, and then I feel like when I talk to somebody for the first time about it, I'm kind of bombarding them with information, and I don't have the answers. Even knowing your financials. Do you know your financials in terms of your goals, and what does that mean? It's different for each individual. So, that's all part of the consideration of, do I want to get an investment property, and what is that going to look like?
Exactly.
And how is it going to work?
Exactly.
And then there's and this is where we become the experts, what might we look at differently when we're walking somebody or helping them find that investment property?
Right, exactly. So location, is a huge factor. Again, are you looking to fix things? Are you looking for a fixer-upper, or are you looking for a property that's more move-in ready for your tenants? How involved do you want to be in either of those processes? And also the legal aspect, right?
Yes. Oh yeah, that's a whole nother gamut right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes I have in talking to people who have done investment properties, there's been the suggestion of starting with a condo versus starting with a single family. Pros and cons to that, right? A single family may be more work, but a condo might be harder to get your financing and secure your funding for. I don't know what the reasons are. Ask your mortgage advisor about that, but
ask Kathy.
But that is a consideration. I know a condo is an easier one from a maintenance
standpoint
perspective.
Yeah, looking at the age of the mechanicals, looking at all of those, the age of the home, looking at all of those factors are huge considerations that Chris and I can help you sort of, lay out.
You don't need your dream kitchen. Do stainless steel appliances, are they a good investment or not? It just kind of depends on the property and location. Location, that access to highways is something that has been suggested and that I know works. You got to be close to those highways so that you've got that flexibility for people to get to where they need to go.
And if it's really about fixing and flipping, it's about the resale value. So touching on your point about what type of kitchen do you want, and what should you put in, and where's your best bang for your buck. If it's a flipper situation, then we can certainly help guide you in those decisions as well.
And even things as simple as a home with carpet versus laminate floors, right? If you're buying an investment property, I might suggest the laminate floors because carpets are probably going to have to be pulled up when a tenant leaves. Just kind of a standard thing.
Plus, it's kind of a real popular look right now.
Well, that too,
right?
So it's going to attract.
Yeah.
And you're right. I'm thinking of maintenance and stuff like that, but it's also what's going to attract your tenants or your future buyers if you're doing a flip.
Exactly. So we'd be happy to sit down with you, taking all of these things into consideration, helping you sort through your whys. And then narrowing down on the probably most important factor, which is what?
Most important factor is you.
Yeah.
and again, very personalized. So Dena and I would love to sit down with you and discuss how you can help your money work for you.
Very good. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a pleasure. We hope that you got a lot out of our program today. And please contact Chris and I to help with any of those first buying needs or your investment needs.
Bye.